For the last 3 days, we have been reporting on the story of Manipur's forgotten MLA. Vungzagin Valte is a BJP MLA. He's one of the senior most politicians of Manipur, and he's also been an advisor to the chief minister. A mob attack left him crippled and paralyzed, unable to speak, eat, or walk on his own. Yet, for the last many weeks, Mr. Valte has effectively been left to fend for himself. After our initial report on him in hospital, a few days ago, I decided to revisit the family to see how they were doing. And I was shocked to discover that 13 members of this family, because all the relatives are here helping each other, have now taken a rented accommodation where 13 people of the family are living in 3 rooms. They're really struggling to meet their medical expenses. In fact, they're dependent on charity, on donations. I asked whether the Chief Minister of the state, Singh, had called. The wife in tears said he'd called once, about 2 months ago, and after that, the family has not heard from anybody. The son, Joseph, speaking to me through tears, said, "It isn't just about not receiving financial help. We feel alone. We feel alone because nobody even calls to see how our father is doing." Ever since we put out this report, hordes of news channels have followed the report that we put, I'm proud to say, on the national map and made it a national talking point. But the family is yet to receive any financial assistance. We met with the family this morning, and while hordes of channels have followed the Mojo Story report, the state government is yet to offer a hand of help, of assistance, and of empathy. In many ways, this one story encapsulates the trauma of the state, because if this is happening with the ruling legislature of the state, imagine what ordinary people are going through. On this Mojo Story special, let's introduce our guests on the program today as we look at Manipur's forgotten MLA and the metaphor of Mr. Valte as a metaphor for what's happening in Manipur. Joining us from the BJP is the party spokesperson and leader, Finita Hariharan. It's good to see you, ma'am. Also joining us is Rahul Easwar, who is, of course, an author, a columnist, and a philosophy thinker, he calls himself. Also joining us today on the program is Professor Haokip. He's an assistant professor at JNU. It's good to see you. Tavleen Singh, who followed the Mojo Story report and who tweeted very sharply about it, is back with us. It's always good to see you, Tavleen. And also joining us today on the program is Mr. Vohra. He's been a former Home Secretary of Manipur and also a veteran IPS officer. It's good to see you, sir. Let me get first comments before we play out for you just a short clip of our own report. Tavleen, I want to start with you. You saw our report and you said it was shameful what was happening. Your thoughts on what we're seeing happen with this MLA, completely left to fend for himself. It's been weeks, 8 weeks, I think, in hospital, and then the family struggling for assistance. Tavleen, your thoughts?
I've already said in a tweet that it's shameful, but what I really don't understand is why he's not been given any help. Because, there is the Prime Minister Care Fund, there's the Prime Minister Relief Fund, there must be a similar fund at the Chief Minister's level. It's used for flood relief, it's used for anything. This is a major, major tragedy for a sitting legislator. This man has been elected 3 times and he's been allowed to suffer quietly in silence in some forgotten hospital. I don't even know where it is. I only know the story because you reported it. I don't even know if anybody else did. I didn't see anything on television. And, I think that what the media has done I think now they've started showing us the story. But the media's failure in Manipur is, in my view, as serious as the government's failure. I've only seen one really good report out of Manipur. The rest, there's been nothing. There's just been commentaries from people sitting in Delhi. And I'm ashamed of the media's role. And really, as an Indian, I'm ashamed of how this man is suffering and how Manipur is suffering.
Yeah. So just to update you, he has been brought into a small, tiny rented accommodation in Delhi from hospital. There's nothing much the doctors can do anymore. He's paralyzed completely on his left side. There. You can see those images of him. He lies all day on a floor mattress. The family has no money. He needs physiotherapy every day. They're dependent on donations. I was talking to the wife, and she said 1,000, 2,000 rupees from charity groups. So this family, this legislator is living off the charity of civilian groups. There has been zero assistance from state authorities. And I must bring in the BJP spokeswoman now, Vinita. How do we even begin to understand this?
No, definitely, Barkha. The fallouts of the Manipur civil war is absolutely unfortunate, and the last viral video that came out is extremely heinous and despicable. And the government is absolutely taken moral responsibility for this. And this particular MLA's case also. Definitely, I think the state government machinery will come into action, and they will have to definitely support him with all means possible. And see, whatever happened in Manipur is definitely not a matter of pride for the government, and we're definitely working day and night. The prime minister, the home minister has already visited once. The army has been deployed. There has been evacuation, and things were returning to near normalcy in Manipur. And the entire government machinery, the forces, the political and the bureaucracy is on it day and night. And definitely there'll be a solution. And the most important stakeholder here is the BJP government, and definitely it is to our merit that we find a solution to it at the earliest. And it would be done looking at all the developments in the northeast that has taken place over the last decade. The kind of the insurgency control that we have done over the last decade, the AFSPA, the Dakshin, the AFSPA areas. And this is an outlier. This is definitely a civil war that has been escalated due to tensions from Myanmar and whatever the reasons, geopolitical tensions. And definitely this will be under control, because it's definitely to our interest, because we have to also capitalize on the development works that we have done in the northeastern region, and we brought the northeastern region brought into the mainland, and we've connected northeastern region to the mainland. And look, even the goods and supply that has come today in the railway station, which was constructed by the NDA government for a huge cost of around 14,000 crore, which connected Imphal to the mainland. So the broad gauge line. So all of this, cannot be discounted, and this is definitely an outlier, which is, and we are working day and night to bring a solution to this.
Mr. Vohra, whatever be the geopolitics, whatever be the unique history of Manipur, whatever be the origins of the clashes between the Kukis and the Meiteis, how do we explain? What people looking at these pictures are saying is, if this could happen to a BJP legislator, what must be ordinary people going through? This is somebody who's a senior politician of the state. This is his wife Moinu on screen, and this is the MLA. And as I said, I found him cramped in a little room on a mattress on the floor, and they have no money, and they have got no phone calls from anybody except one call when he was soon after he was airlifted from Manipur into Apollo Hospital in Delhi. They don't even have money to pay the rent, to pay their medical bills, Mr. Vohra. I mean, when the people of Manipur look at this, how do we expect them to understand or hope for peace when they're looking at this happening to one of their own legislators, sir?
You're absolutely right, Barkha. Every word of what you said and other panelists have said, I think is very true. It's so sad, really. I don't want to repeat what has been said, but see, he's an MLA. He could be brought to Delhi by air. God knows there are how many more such stories of people who have no means at all. They must be languishing in their houses or in hospitals in Imphal or in Churachandpur or somewhere else. I think things are so bad, but I suppose the government seems to be insensitive though, but I think they are overwhelmed with the situation. They are unable to handle it. And it fails me because I have been a policeman, I have been home secretary there in Manipur. There would have been, in fact, intelligence reports quite a few months in advance as to what was brewing, what was happening, what are the reasons, and surely action should have been taken by the government. It should have been anticipated, and by not only by the political class, by the bureaucratic class, by the police force itself. But unfortunately, I think they have all failed. To be very honest with you, and I think situation has come to such a pass today that violence is continuing for 3 months. My 40 years experience of Barkha, the police tells me that at best you can have a 3-4 days violence. It can't continue that long. And actually, as I think you know by now, there are divisions within the bureaucracy, within the police, there inefficiency, long stories of all kinds of things. I think it's time for hard decisions to be taken on all fronts, political, bureaucratic, police, all that is there. And I think in order of priority, stopping violence, getting weapons back, and reconciliation, some kind, some commission, some committee, because the present committee is not working. So there are eminent people in Manipur, like sports persons, Mary Com and others. There are doctors, there are academicians. They're all very, very, very highly placed people who would be heard, who are respected. But I think it's very important to even for investigation of cases should be given to CBI or court monitored probe, fast charge sheet, fast track courts. I think there's so much to do. The hands are full. The border has to be taken care of.
Should there be president's rule, sir? Should there be president's rule? Should there be president's rule?
Well, as I said, I've said it indirectly by saying there's a need for hard political decisions. Well, whether they change the political dispensation or they have the president rule, it's up to the government to decide. Because they would know much more than you and me know, because they'll have much more inputs than you and me have it, honestly.
Okay.
So it is for them to take a decision.
I just want to return to this legislator, Professor Haokip, not because his is the only trauma. In fact, we have the viral video in which women were sexually assaulted. We have one of the men who was on that video, a soldier of the Indian Army. He served for 28 years. Yesterday, we uncovered another rape and murder of two young women, 21 and 24. They were tortured to death. We have the same story. The FIR is registered. No action is taken. In that case, actually, no arrests have been made. Those are, of course, the withheld identities of the two young women who were raped and murdered. And their mother has not been able to take the bodies back because they're still lying in the morgue. And yet I return to this legislator. I return to the legislator because this is the BJP's own man. He's a 3-time MLA. He's an advisor to the chief minister. And the family doesn't have money to pay the medical bills. And for me, this is a metaphor for what Manipur is going through. Professor Haokip, your thoughts?
Vungzagin Valte has commitment to the party and his dedication to the cause of upliftment of his constituency is amazing. It's very sad to get a report from your channel that he has been struggling financially. It is not the chief minister and the BJP that failed him, and it's not him who failed the party. So his dedication to the party and the chief minister is something very astounding. And a few years back, the chief minister was visiting Churchanpur, and in that function, Valte called the chief minister the second missionary of Churchanpur for his works after the Christian missionaries 100 years ago. So this negligence in terms of healthcare and others that he has faced, it could be another outrage after the viral video of sexual violence in Manipur. So this report, I'm sorry to say that I'm shocked to hear about the struggle that the family has to go through, and the party as well as the government of Manipur has to look after his his health as well as the financial needs of his day-to-day management.
Yeah, I want to bring in Rahul. Rahul, you have been a fan and admirer of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has spoken once on Manipur. It's been outside Parliament. He spoke when the sexual assault of two women who were paraded naked jolted the country. It was on video. As I've said, we have now documented another rape and torture of two young women. We have documented what has happened to this MLA. There are 13 members of his family living in literally. I was there this morning. The chota kamras, 3 chota kamras, the 13 people, and my heart broke when when his wife said that we are dependent on charity groups from our locality who are giving us 1,000, 2,000 rupees at a time. Why is the Prime Minister silent?
2 submissions. One, as a great admirer of Modi ji, I believe, even I believe his most sincere admirers will also point out that perhaps in the past 9 years, this is the biggest challenge he is facing on his authority, accountability, and his administrative skill. As we all know him as a very charismatic administrator, a person who has a hold on things. And I believe Modi ji, as his fan and admirer, should do more. And this is the common reflection of, if you see social media, if you check across the Christian pastors who have been Modi ji's admirers for a very long time, airing the same kind of opinion. Because even Modi ji's statement, with all due respect, with the greatest of respect and affection for Modi ji, I believe it could have been a bit more sharper, because the entire nation was outraged by how those two women were molested and paraded naked. It was something like, it was feeling very bad. So, I think there is still scope. There can still be a Modi magic which can bring back the people's confidence. But yes, it is a big challenge. And I believe, just like the Sikh riots or Kashmiri Pandit issue or Babri or Godhra or Gujarat, Manipur has become a scar in the soul of India that needs to be healed. Beyond BJP or Congress, we should, as Indians, try to address that issue, try to help as far as we could, try to even arrange resources for them in our own humble ways. I think it's high time we should unite and do that. And I still believe Modi ji, maybe he has his own reasons, administrative reasons, maybe there we have very less input and intelligence on ground. Modi ji might be even planning to do something so nice so that there can be healing touch. But yes, I believe, as a normal Indian, beyond politics, we expect more from the government to do. And I think that's the general sentiment on the ground.
Let me bring in Tavleen and the others, Mr. Vohra and Vinita, on a key question. What should happen now? The story, the horrific story, the failure of the national media, the failure of governance, the failure of empathy. Tavleen, the Prime Minister has made one statement. The opposition has got locked into the fact that they will not have a parliament debate till the Prime Minister speaks in the House. Do you think the opposition has taken a valid position? Do you think they should be obsessed with the Prime Minister speaking inside the House? Or do you think Parliament must debate Manipur to start with? And start maybe with what's happening to women and what's happening to their own MLAs?
Frankly, I think that the opposition has made the situation worse. Why don't they agree to a discussion? Whatever that discussion takes place will help. So to demand a discussion on their terms and to demand that the Prime Minister make a statement before a discussion is, in my way, cussed and counterproductive, and it shows a lack of empathy in the opposition leaders as much as it does in government. Now, I wanted to, take up what Rahul said about what the Prime Minister said when he finally spoke. I really wish he had said that in Parliament, and I wish that he hadn't brought in the treatment of women in West Bengal and in the rest of the country, because what we're dealing with in Manipur, from what I've seen in the media, I'm no expert on Manipur, let me, say that straight away. But what I saw there is a civil war, and I've covered conflict in Kashmir and Punjab before, and I've covered conflict in Sri Lanka. So what I see at the moment there is a real civil war already in action. So if I was being asked what to do by the Prime Minister, I would say sack the Chief Minister. He has no right to be there, because if the Kuki community as a community is saying we don't trust him, then he must go. And I would put the state under, President's rule, heal the wounds before we have an election there. What is happening is dangerous, not just for Manipur, but for India. It's a border state with a history of problems. And, to me, it is frightening from a security aspect as well as an administrative one. But I think that the opposition should allow a discussion no matter what terms that discussion is held on.
Absolutely. Mr. Vohra, would you agree that the beginning has to be, you see, what's happening right now is you've got the army being asked to step in for civil administration. The police, and you've served in the police, you would agree. The police, in every case that we have documented of rape and torture, what we're told is the police didn't do anything. The army man married to one of the survivors of sexual assault on that viral video told me, he said, I felt horrible because I had fought wars for India, but I could not protect my wife. I asked him, where was the police? He said the police was outnumbered and helpless, or chose not to act. We don't know which one it is. So you're currently having the army substituting for Biren Singh. When you look at the fact that the Chief Minister cannot even offer empathy to his own MLAs, as we have seen with Mr. Valte, do you not think the beginning of healing has to be for him to be sacked?
I entirely agree with you on every word that you have said. But I think we have to go ahead and see what can be done now. I think some of the things which I would like to mention is, one is, the first thing is the violence must be stopped. And if the government has to use its brutal force or peace initiatives, it must be done. This is very, very important. Getting weapons back, 4,500 weapons had gone. And I am told that many of these weapons were actually handed over from the police armories and the Assam Rifles armories, because there's a division among officers. The people, officers of the respective communities handed over many of these weapons. I have served in insurgency areas in Punjab, in Kashmir, in Tripura, in Manipur. Even 20 weapons are enough to create havoc. And here we're talking of thousands of weapons, only 1,000 have come back. Then I think, coming of justice, investigation, I think it should be CBI probe or court monitored probe. There must be fast track courts. I think this is very, very important, because people will not have faith any longer in the local police. Let me tell you that. I mean, you also know it. I also know it. The hard political decisions are needed at the highest level, whatever shape they take. The bureaucracy is equally inefficient and divided, as in the police. So I think neutral officers from outside should be sent, and insiders should be sent out. They have had enough of their cushy time there. See, the problem in India is, in most of the states, local officers are always appointed by the political masters in almost all the states in India, which is, I think, a root cause of problem. What
Yeah.
for are you recruiting IAS, IPS officers from outside if you're not using their services for what they are meant? So this is another one. I would also say, let there be judicial inquiry,
Well, the
a
judicial
reconciliation
probe,
commission.
sir, judicial probe was announced. It's not offering any credibility.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
but
know.
it
It's
is
not.
not.
It
It's
is
not
a
there. It's not there. It has to
yes.
be, and border has to be taken care of. Barkha, as you know, one of the major problems has been that recently lot of cookies have come across from the Myanmar side. They have been given shelter in Manipur. They were asked, they were made to stay in additional villages on the forest land. The government took action and identified them and destroying some of the villages. So that also angered the cookies. I mean, that is one very,
No,
very major reason what's
that
happening.
is true, sir. But among those who've been targeted are Indian nationals,
Yeah, this is
patriots who
bad.
are
I mean, as I
Hindus.
said, I have already said every word of what you said, I support. But I'm
Let
saying that these
yes.
drug lords, these borders should be taken care of. I think it's very
No, I
important.
agree. But the beginning has to be, Vinita, in this chief minister who did some fuzzy resignation drama, having to go. He has to go, and I know that you can't take a position on that, but that higher up party members will decide. But when I look at this MLA and I say the most scathing indictment of Mr. Biren Singh is that he doesn't even seem to care about his political colleagues. He knows this man was airlifted. He knows he's paralyzed. He knows his driver has been killed. Mr. Valte will never have a normal life again, and nor will many, 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 we don't know how many Manipuris. People who will not make it to the headlines. How can Mr. Biren Singh have any moral force to continue this man?
Yeah, so Barkha, I think the issue is beyond just sacking this CM. The priority now is to bring the peace and stability back in Manipur and in the northeastern region, and therefore, I think utmost priority is to bring peace and stability to end the civil war by expediting the efforts of the army and bringing it in greater force and might in Manipur. I think that is the first step. The second would be an all party consultation, which the parliament, if the opposition allows a proper discussion, a face-to-face discussion, I think that would be one big important step forward. And also all stakeholder meeting, the MLAs of the Kuki and the meitei. There are several MLAs in the Kuki as well as in the meitei representation. So therefore, there has to be an all-party consultation between the MLAs of the Kuki and the meitei and all other, the bureaucracy, the political forces, the civil society groups, the media. Everybody should come under one platform platform immediately and essentially to bring, consultative and suggestive step forward, proactive and positive steps forward, because we cannot let the 10 years of development work that we have done in the northeastern region let it just get it disrupted just because of this one particular outlier civil war case, which has gone out of proportion. So definitely, I think the utmost priority is to bring the civil war under control.
Okay, Rahul, we're in the last few minutes of this program. I want, Mr. Vohra, give me a second. Rahul Easwar first. Rahul Easwar, do go ahead. The Prime Minister doesn't like, this is my analysis, I can't prove this, but it seems to me that Mr. Modi doesn't like reacting to criticism. He wants to probably set the terms for his own response. But he needs to respond. Yes, I agree with Tavleen. The opposition should not hold up a debate. They're also scoring political points. I agree with Vinita. There should be an all-party consensus. There needs to be an all-party meeting, an all-party delegation. But the Prime Minister must speak.
See, Modi ji is always looked upon as a solution provider, a person who can bring solutions to the table. But in this particular crisis, I believe he was not at his best self bringing the solution. No, I'm sorry to bring a political angle to it. I mean, beyond party politics, look at the Kerala, especially coming from Kerala, the entire Christian community was enamored and charmed by Modi ji, say 6 months ago. They were all singing, great gaga regarding Modi ji, and all the major, Christian pastors and fathers were meeting Modi ji, and there was a huge Christian BJP alliance going on. The entire thing changed, and even all those people who were looking up to Modi ji, they were even starting comparing it to unfortunately 2002, the Gujarat one. So I believe still Modi ji can turn around. Maybe I don't know, they have their own stature and their own inputs to react to, but still he should show that he is in control. I believe he should put out statements. He should talk beyond beyond political party bipartisan. Yes, opposition may be scoring points because especially an election year is coming, but Modi ji needs to put his best foot forward, and especially to demonstrate that he is in control and he can solve this problem. Like Vohra sir earlier said, it has been months altogether, and many of the MLAs from Kerala, especially from the Christian community, who are very close friends of us, they went there. They were telling horrific tales that even we cannot tell it outside, and especially even foreign nations and looking up, because many of the Christian community of our brothers and sisters are involved. So it's high time. It's a huge challenge for Modi ji. I still believe he can get the plot back, but he should be more affirmative, assertive, sharp points, and I hope that will really happen.
Professor Haokip, if I can ask you, would Biren Singh's exit and getting people from outside be a beginning?
Definitely, Biren has to step down in order that peace restores slowly in this state. We have been demanding president's role from the first week of violence, and this has not happened. And after a month, we have been seeing the political situation and the reluctance of BJP to put Biren down. And we have been demanding that at least change the chief minister or change the head of government. But that has not been taken into account again. Instead, there has been a peace committee that has been formed by the Home Ministry, and the chief minister is the head of that peace committee. How could someone who is believed to be, instigating violence, the Kukis believe that he is complicit in this violence. So how could the Kukis talk with someone whom they believe that he is a part of the the conflict,
the problem, part of the problem,
so
and not
he's part of the problem, and the exit of Biren could slowly provide some space where same voices could come from both sides.
It is befuddling why the government is attached to keeping him on. I don't know. Before I take last comments from all of you, I just want to play out just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. It's a longer story, a longer conversation with the family is available on our platform, but just 2 minutes that will give you a sense of what Mr. Valte is going through, what his family is going through, a story that we have been following assiduously for the last several days now. Take a look. Mojo Story sets the agenda. Our report on Manipur's forgotten BJP MLA Vungzagin Valte is now being followed by every other channel.
From morning till 9, my dearest constable, When I see my husband now,
So sorry.
it's a fateful day.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much for visiting us.
An MLA who was advisor to the Manipur Chief Minister is today crippled, unable to speak, eat or walk on his own after he was assaulted by a mob. His head was smashed. He was given electric shocks by the attackers. For weeks altogether, he was entirely forgotten by his party and forgotten by the media, left in effect to fight all alone. Till this interview on Mojo Story.
Till today.
He can't walk, he can't eat by himself.
By himself, yes.
The Valte family is living in a small rented house in Delhi. 13 people are crammed up in 3 tiny bedrooms. Money for Mr. Valte's medical bills is coming from charity and donations, sometimes donations as small as 1,000 or 2,000 rupees. As first revealed in our interview and report, the family has got no financial assistance from the Manipur state government or the party. Moinu, Mr. Valte's wife, breaks down in tears more than once. Inside, lying on a floor mattress, Vungzagin Valte is surrounded by his grandchildren. He is barely able to speak 1 or 2 words. Are you better?
Yes. No improvement. No improvement.
No improvement. The only thing that brings a smile to the distraught faces in this family are the grandchildren. Gin Khan, who is just 9 years old, reaches out more than once to wipe the tears from his grandmother's face. Poo-poo will be better, Pee-pee, he tells his grandmother. And you were saying something to her when we walked in. What were you saying to Granny? What was he saying to you?
Pipi, don't worry, Popu will be alright, he said to me.
The rest of India must wonder, if this can happen to a ruling party legislator, what must be ordinary people in Manipur going through? Tough to watch, tough to report. Let's get last comments. Vinita, this is your party colleague. Just last thoughts.
No, definitely. I mean, the government will come into action, and I mean, they're already in action, and we will ensure that as soon as it is going to be possible, we are going to be bringing a solution to this, and Manipur will return to normalcy as at the earliest. Because we cannot let all the 10 years of hard work that we have done in the northeastern region be destroyed by one civil war. We will definitely not let this happen. And definitely those who are injured and who are affected would be rehabilitated emotionally and financially, not just financially, but emotionally and physically. And every which way possible, the government is going to extend its arms towards all of those affected.
I just hope as a horde of channels now try and report on Mr. Valte after our report that the MLA gets a call from somebody who matters, who's able to provide him assistance. Mr. Vohra, last thoughts, sir, quickly, briefly.
One is about this relief measures. I think government should have announced by now a relief fund. Every state government does it, and people pour in and they help from all over India. I don't think it has happened so far. You would know better, perhaps. But the main point I want to make is that the administration there, I mean, all, including political, bureaucratic, and all, I think they seem to be groping in the dark. Even the political people are groping into the dark. They don't know what to do. My suggestion will be there's no dearth of officers who have served there for ages in all ranks, in all services of all kinds. I think the government should at least talk to them, consult them. No harm in taking suggestions from people. Yeah. So I think that will help. Even if it helps a little, it's worth it. But showing empathy, showing compassion, I think this is most important at the moment where everybody is so hurt. I think it's very, very important. It must be done on priority.
Tavleen, you wanted to comment there? Tavleen?
All of this can happen later. By tonight, this MLA should be moved into Manipur House in Delhi. The best doctors in India for head injuries should be put at his service because you can heal head injuries. He's speaking, he responded to you, so he can be given treatment. There is no, forget the healing later on and all that. But if the Prime Minister wants to show leadership and empathy, the first thing that must happen is this. And the second thing that must happen is that Biren, whatever his name is, should be sacked.
Absolutely. I have to agree on both points. This man needs help and he can be helped. And Rahul, quickly.
Barkhaji, beyond any rhetoric, I hope if Mojo, ordinary people like us would love to contribute, because I was so moved seeing that story. If you can run some kind of a resource allocation campaign, whatever little we can amass, because it is not charity, it is our patriotic duty to stand with Manipur. It's our patriotic duty towards every Indian to stand with Manipur, and whatever a little we can all amass, I think it would be good for the family. So please think of such a thing, and many people, including me, would like to contribute immediately.
Let me give the last word to someone from Manipur, Professor Haokip. Where does the healing begin, sir?
I think given the scale of violence and the deep divide that existed between the two communities now, it is only political solution that could reduce this kind of divide. Eventually, look into the demands by the Kukis, look into the demands by the Meiteis, and what could be there. Because right now, these two communities could not come together in the form of civil society organizations. They don't want to meet one another. So somebody from Delhi, the Home Minister, the Prime Minister has to intervene and initiate political dialogue, and political solution has to be arrive up to bring peace.
But I think, as Mr. Vohra said, the solution now has to come in partly from the outside, or at least for now, it has to come in from the outside. The second thing I'd like to say in conclusion is the bottom line is, I think, as Tavleen Singh said, two things must happen immediately. Mr. Valte must get assistance. He must get medical intervention. He must get the backing of the state that he has served. And it is just shocking. It is really shocking that he has not been given that. And secondly, I think there's no ambiguity. I know we put Vinita on the spot here as a BJP spokeswoman, but I think the consensus, even within everybody I've been speaking to in the BJP, is that Mr. Biren Singh has lost the authority to actually preside over the state, and it is befuddling why the BJP has not asked him to go. Our heart goes out to the family of Mr. Valte and to everybody in Manipur who's suffering. Our continued relentless reportage on the state will continue. Thank you to our panel, and thank you to our audience for watching. Take care. Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.